Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversation. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
This world is changing more and more every day, and we've decided to change right along with it. My name is Dr. Lauren Michaels Harris, and I'm the president of Trajectory TV Network. At Trajectory, our vision is to provide a creative platform for top content creators and storytellers from around the globe. We're also dedicated to providing this world with content that is healing, educational, empowering, exciting, and above all else, entertaining and transparent. So right now, I invite all of you who believe yourselves to be global game changers to use the link found here and simply take a chance. Schedule a virtual chat where you'll have the opportunity to share your vision for your very own global television show with me, the network president. So use that link, and together, let's begin changing and healing this world, one story at a time. And remember, whether you have years of experience in front of the camera or zero experience, it doesn't matter. What matters the most is your desire to share great content through television and a willingness to share it with passion and with purpose. You might ask, how do I know if I've fallen in love with my purpose and my purpose has fallen in love with me? It's easy when you've lost your voice because you just can't stop talking about it. I'll see you soon.
Shamelessly displaying my state of mind.
Train is coming. Get ready to get on board. It is time, you guys. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Oh boy, what a great day. Not just because it's Thursday. Ooh, we're almost there. One more day, one more day. Listen, it's a great day. Like my friend Danny was telling me, Danny Torres the other day. He says it all the time. He loves this one. Every day above ground is a great day. And I agree. So, hey, if you agree, can I get an amen up in here? That's right. Welcome to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. Good morning to all of you. You're looking awesome as always. I'm Lauren Michaels Harrison. I'm so happy to be here with you today. I'm going to get right to it because I have a great guest. He's been here before, but it's been a minute. But I'm glad he's here, and I don't want to take too much time away from that. So I'm going to get him in here, but we're going to talk about it when I first bring him in. But you guys, I got to do it. I just have to do it because I'm trying to fulfill the 4 agreements and do my best. Number 4. So that means I want to get this out front today because it is out front in my life and a lot of people's lives, but it needs to be out front in the world. And what I'm talking about is what we're going to Romania. We're leaving, God willing, May 4th. And we'll arrive in Bucharest on the 5th, and we'll be there an entire 7 days, leaving on the 12th to come back. It is the Legacy of Hope tour. We're going with the incredible Sailor Brothers to capture it for a documentary, and they're coming in about 17 of my nearest and dearest, my coaching clients. We're going. It's the Legacy of Hope tour. So we're going not only to provide some hope, we're taking 200 pen pal letters inside of 200 comfort cases. Thank you, comfort cases, for donating those 200 cases. And we're going to just go to these different places every day for 7 days, one big event on Sunday, but we'll spend from 12 to 5 every other day at everything from an orphanage to an oncology hospital with kids that have just been released from treatment, but they're still underneath the stigma, the trauma. All their friends have left them. They don't have their hair. They're kids that feel like shit, even though they're cured of cancer. And we're just going to go and spend 5 hours every day with just a group of kids, play with them, sing with them, whatever they want to do. We're going to do. So that is the Power of We Romania Legacy of Hope tour. So, the GoFundMe stuff, I'll give you that later. Here's one of the things. If you get your phone out, if you're in your computer, just scan that code and it'll take you to where you can donate or head over to our website. We'd love for you to not just see what we're doing now, but what we've been doing for 5 years now, 5 years. And, we're very proud of it. And people say, you guys, I'm just going to get this out of the way before I get Johnny here. I got that Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award thing in December, and it has my name on it, but it was for volunteer work. And where is that thing? I'm trying to get this off the string. There it is. I can't wait till I have a deal with NBC so I don't have to do all this stuff. I'm not playing. I'm getting too old for it. So anyway, we got that award from the United Nations after our second one when we were in Atlanta in 19, and then just recently the thing from President Biden. And people make a big deal out of it, but it's because of the power of we. That's what the acknowledgement is for, which means it's not just mine. It should have all of our names on it. It really should. And so again, I know God is going to bless us with something we can't even see coming. So please, if you want to be a part of something greater than yourself, if you want to contribute something into that pot in the center of our souls, our spirits, known as this modern day Stone Soup story, then head over, donate. We got a lot of expense. It's hard when it's out of your own backyard, and especially so when it's in another country. But we're gonna do our best, and God's gonna take care of all the rest. I'm certain of that. So I'm going to get John Duffy in here, and he has now listen. I was gonna put it in the promo that, in my opinion, he is the true definition of a Renaissance man, but I didn't know how to spell Renaissance, and I kept asking Alexa, and she kept taking me all these different. She got a mind of her own. She gonna end up in a garage sale if she don't quit playing with me. For real, she used to just answer your question. Now she got to talk back and all this. I better shut up before she come after me. I can't see behind me, see? But for real, she's something else. But anyway, a Renaissance man, and the definition of that, I had to write it down, is a person who has a wide variety of interests and is an actual expert in several areas. And he could be a couple Renaissance men, for real, because this guy, just to give you an idea, here's some of the things he's done. And I didn't take it the whole list. I tried to mix it up. Okay. Well, he has a podcast, Live Courageously podcast. We're going to take a look at a little bit of that here when he gets inside. Been a cab driver, a mail handler, MAIL. Get your head out of Gordon. Now, I would have been the other one. Trust me. A substitute teacher, an aerobics instructor, a counselor with Runaways in Hollywood, of all places. And I used to live there 11 years. So I already know. I bet he'd been on Santa Monica and Sunset Boulevard, over there. Okie Dogs. They hang out at Okie Dogs. I already know. He didn't think I was going to find this, but I called my friends over at TMZ and they said, oh, he didn't put male exotic dancer and pool boy on the list. We got the footage. So we're going to get to the bottom of that when he comes in. So listen, here's what we do. I don't care how many times a person's been here. We celebrate every day as if it was the first day of our lives. We celebrate every moment as a divine opportunity, and this is no different. Put your hearts on the screen. It's our way of virtually applauding as we bring our good friend in, John Duffy. Here he comes. Caught you. You thought yeah. Wow, my ass. You didn't think we were going to find out about those little side jobs.
Hey, that has to be the wildest introduction I've ever gotten. It's 6 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. And good morning, Lauren. Man, I don't know what to say. I'm speechless now, but I'm speechless.
Yeah, we're so happy you're here, John. I'm glad you have such a sense of humor. You're always fun to have on, and you so many things. I can't wait to catch up to find out what you've been doing. But before we get started, I do this thing where I allow the guests to have just a minute or so. I dip out and let you just start this conversation with what's on your heart today. Tell people anything I might not have said. Refute some of the things I did say, and just create your own vibe, and then I'll come back in and we'll get started. Is that okay?
Absolutely, brother.
Right. All right. All you take it.
Hey, so I'm going to deny what those things that Lauren said at the end, but I'm with him on the Renaissance man. I'm not going to be able to spell that properly either. But thank you, Lauren, for those kind words. And yes, I'm doing a lot of stuff. Live Courageously is the big message of mine right now. Podcast done about 28 shows. I got 50 more friends, and Lauren's going to be on. And I'm going to have to get him back for what he did roasting me. But that's one thing. I got a movie out that's you can get on Amazon Prime or Amazon or Walmart. Left Behind: The Rise of the Antichrist with Kevin Sorbo, who directed it, and I was one of the producers on it. So you get a chance to check that out. Got a couple of upcoming projects and 2 books of mine that I wrote, 2 memoirs. Black Irish, Not Your Average White Boy. And the other one is Mal to Reagan, A Born Again American. So working on getting one of those self-published and the other one a traditional publisher. Working on another one called Live Courageously. Just trying to keep up with Lauren. You know how it goes. I mean, he's got me up at 6 o'clock in the morning. What else can I say?
And those California divas, y'all, don't get it twisted. That's a big deal when they get up this early.
Ain't that the truth, brother? Ain't that the truth?
Most of them just went to bed. They just went to bed like at 4. And yeah, so much going on, and we're going to talk about a lot of it. First, I gotta because I gotta be a good steward. I want you to see it because you know a lot of people, John. Were you at the Next Impactor, or were you at a Power of We?
So I met you at the Next Impactor in Chicago, which I lived in Chicago for 2 years, went to school out there at Circle Campus. So I met you there. Then, of course, we met again in Utah at the Slave Free Project to rescue children. And that was you were out there broadcasting and supporting the Reverend Rudy Gonzalez and Jason Cisneros. That was a great moment in time with us. So, yeah, we've had some moments, man. I appreciate them.
Yeah, me too, man. That Slave Free Project thing that changed my life. I'm serious. That really changed my life. Man. Oh, well, let's take a look. You heard what I said about what the Power We is about to embark on, and we were chosen by God to do this, and we've chosen to return. And it's so interesting, those things where I feel like I was just telling everybody yesterday on the team meeting, I feel like God put me in that big old chair Lily Tomlin used to sit in when she, remember, her feet wouldn't even be right. I feel like God put me in one of those, and I said, yeah, it's there.
I think you need to get that one for your podcast show, man.
Oh my God, that would be too funny. There's a
be.
store here called American Sail that has an Adirondack giant one out front, but it's bolted to some cement. Trust me, I'm already there. Wonder how I can get that in my backyard. But anyway, so I wanted to show you we've partnered, everyone, with a fantastic organization, clearly, because we're working with the State Department. So everybody has been checked from the rooter to the tutor. And Hope for Kids are doing a piece that we don't have the ability to. They're a Romanian-based nonprofit and NGO, not based in Romania, but servicing all of the children that are still in need there. And there's a lot. Take a look at what I'm talking about.
Acolo a fost personalul de serviciu care ți-a înjurat, ți-a blestemat ăsta și ți-a furat mâncarea. Unde? La dicta la Sfântul Nicolae. Să nu fie toate numai pentru bani. Acum deja numai pentru bani. Că toți donațiile și astea, și donațiile privesc copiii, nu? Da. Privesc copiii. Donațiile se pune în rocktar.
The purpose of this documentary is to raise a universal alarm on the extreme poverty levels in which families and over 41.5% of Romanian children live in. Some children go to bed without eating. Some eat every 2 days. 8 in 10 Romanian children in orphanages are not even orphans. The extreme poverty levels of their families forces the parents to abandon their children, either in an orphanage, a placement center, or with a family member, so they can go abroad and work. Even more alarming than the rising poverty levels in Romania are its ramifications: neglect, child abuse, child labor, rape, trafficking, school abandonment, children ending up in the system, in prison, or even worse, dead. Now imagine a world in which all children can grow up in a loving family with proper food, access to education, sexual education, access to proper mental health and physical health, access to integration programs. Imagine these children having the same chance in life as our children. Let's be family to these children, all of us, together. Let's be the answer to the end of poverty and social exclusion. Join our forces and help us build a better world in which families and children of Romania flourish.
Now, let me say this, John, because I want to talk, because this kind of ties into all you do, because you are a heart-based, you're a believer, clearly. We all know about the Left Behind series, and it's so interesting to me how it just keeps being rebooted, re-released, and it is true. It's true, and I'm gonna tell you why this is so important today. And it does tie into the work. That's not just another movie. That is an opportunity. That's a message. That's a warning, if you will, to not just not do anything. We can make all kinds of decisions, but they don't mean a damn thing if we don't choose our way into those decisions. They're two different things. And I remember when this opportunity, John, for us to go over, I'm like, okay, we were going to go to Australia, but then COVID came. But that was pretty much like, you know, a road show of what we do in Chicago. But then this went a lot deeper. I was like, well, why Romania? And you know what God said to me? And I'm going to give it to you exactly like it came in. Because, Lauren, it's time. It's time. This world needs to stop the blind eye on human sacrifice. And that's exactly because there was already the one sacrifice that should have taken care of it all. And we know who that was. And so I was like, and when I heard that, I was like, excuse me, but I could have, you know what it sounded like you said, human sacrifice, because that's such a big deal. So tell me something. When you choose your projects, because when you get behind something, you get behind it 1000%. Talk about how you've grown into the types of projects that you put your energy behind, and why, and if it's changed since you first entered this business out in Hollywood.
Well, it absolutely has. But before I talk about me and my projects, I just got to take a moment and shout out to you, Lauren, because for people watching this to go support Lauren Harris, what he's doing with this project in Romania. Go to his GoFundMe. I met him in Chicago. And the one thing I connected with you is your heart, man. You were helping people with the power of we out in Chicago. You were doing that, and when we were in Salt Lake City, you went out in the streets with this woman January, and you saw what they were doing with Soap to Hope and helping people on the street. And I know it changed your life as well. But your heart, I think, in this world, we need more of the people like you. And I say, I've been blessed that you're going to be on my Live Courageously show because you are one of the true people. And I say, God's blessed me with not a lot of financial wealth, and I'm cool with that. But the wealth he's given me is a blessing of people like you in my life, and the abundance of people like you who are out there doing making a difference in life. And what you're doing right now is that. So let me just, give a shout out to you and thank you. Thank you for what you do. And thank you for having me on the show, because I think that's what's important, man.
I received that. Thank you, John. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome, brother. And, and shifting, just to pivot back to what you asked me as a question, was when I first started out, like many people, I was caught up, it was my 7th lifetime. I've done a lot of things. You read some of them. I grew up in the ghetto of the South Bronx, dropped out of high school when I was 15, went on a hell of a lot of journeys that eventually took me to Hollywood. And I was acting at the time, and then eventually got behind the camera and started producing. But, I was out there, I was attracted by that industry. And, and I met some of the worst people I ever met in my life, some evil people. And I was like, if this is what it is, I don't want to be part of it. And little by little, I found myself moving towards the people that had same values, same ethics as I did. And then it became good. Then I was about doing good, accomplishing good in the world, and giving back to others, mentoring people, using the gifts that I've been given to help. And then I got involved in I did a project with the US Marine Corp, started doing mentoring veterans in Hollywood. Now I was given a mission and a purpose that was bigger than just about me in Hollywood. So that's kind of where I am now, and that's what attracts me, and that's the people I work with. So I just say I'm blessed, and I'm very lucky to get to do what I do in life, given all the other things I've done.
Absolutely. So, come on, this is great because inquiring minds want to know. I'm really interested. Seriously. I mean, I know a handful of people still out there. I used to live in Hollywood, Hollywood and Highland for a long time. Managed an apartment building when I was a session singer back then.
Well, I was counseling, like you said, on Sunset, Santa Monica. Matter of fact, I did a one-man play that I was in called about a girlfriend of mine who died of AIDS, called Goodbye, My Friend, which at some point I intend to turn into a feature film. But yeah, Sunset and Santa Monica Boulevard, that's when I was a counselor in that area.
And what span?
Well, I came out there in the 90s to pursue acting, and I was scrambling. I had $100 to my name. I got a ride across country. My ex-girlfriend, who I was with her when she died of AIDS, 2 weeks later was when I went on that journey to recreate my life and start all over again, which I did. And that's what got me to Hollywood. And then, like I said, I started doing things I didn't expect to do. Doors opened up. And so I was in counseling for 2 years, acting. And then one of my co-counselors started directing rap videos. And he asked me to be his production manager. I had no idea what that was. I said, sure, that's easy. And then I went on that journey. Next thing I was behind the camera and I was producing. And it took me into a different journey.
So let's talk about that. All of us love to go to the movies, and even, I mean, yeah, we have our streaming services and stuff like everybody else here in the house. But Brian and I really love when we go to the theater, and we sit, especially now that we've got couches, pretty much, But the only thing about those is I always feel like somebody's in my living room with me. These other people,
a whole lot of people.
Oh my God, it took me a minute to wrap my mind around that. But my point is, we love that full immersive experience that only cinema can provide. takes you away. So let's talk about the responsibility of the message that pushes out of the screen and into the hearts of people. Because, let me tell you something. My favorite movies, one thing that is a connector between all of them, Forrest Gump did it for me. Apollo, whatever that number was at the end of, the one I'm talking about with Ron Howard, that movie. And we all have been, what I'm talking about is those ones where you go and at the end, everybody's sitting there till the credits have finished, until you see that Roman number thing at the bottom. You'd have watched everything like you're really looking for someone's name. But I always say, why did all of us sit there? It's because we didn't want that experience to end. So when you're behind the camera now, and let's go to Left Behind, because it's recent, came out in January. You worked with Kevin Sorbo. I was on something with him through Easy Way, I remember. Really nice. So what are you finding when people think about Hollywood? They think debauchery, everybody out there's doing drugs and having sex and don't care about nothing but themselves, and they're all fake. But that's not the total picture, is it?
Well, like anything, it's a mixed bag. Years ago, I remember we were down doing a movie in South Carolina, and this one woman, she wasn't impressed that we were from Hollywood. And I remember saying to her, I said, look, I'm from Hollywood, but I'm not Hollywood. And I that's a distinction I think I've kept ever since then, is that I'm not Hollywood. What is the negative that's associated with Hollywood, and unfortunately, it deserves a lot of that association, because unfortunately, what it does, you don't have to be that. You can be what you are and put out the values that you want. And I know, like working with Kevin, we did it up in Canada, and it was a great experience because the whole leadership team, the producers, him as a director, we went in and we treat everybody like their family. We treat them like they're, we treat them the way we want to be treated. And it creates a different experience when you love on people, when you trust people, and you treat people well. You start there and it gets better from there. So, it's that, and then the kind of stories you want to tell. I think there's Hollywood, and now there's a growing, not Hollywood, let's call it, where you can tell stories that elevate people, that lift people up. And the stories I love are the stories about overcoming, about people starting from the bottom and overcoming, especially true stories. If it's a true story that shares that message, like the blind side or something like that, that's what I love, because I think those are the messages we can take out in the world, make it entertaining, make it good, but at the same time, elevate people and encourage people to never give up, to overcome. And that's what I love. And that's kind of what I'm hoping to keep doing nowadays.
Oh, I love it. And you're absolutely right. When you were in Canada shooting and working on Left Behind, tell everybody, just set up, give them in the Reader's Digest trailer, Left Behind, based on the rapture, the rise of the Antichrist and all that. Here we are post-COVID, new normal. But I also know that we're in the midst of a vast and incredibly powerful awakening, that people are being fast-tracked to those places where their soul sits. And I want to know, when you were doing that project, I get the feeling that there was at least one scene, one moment where you were transfixed. Something happened, that magic that comes with purpose. Tell us about that experience there and that story, and watching that actually come to life in front of you. Did it beckon anything, or did it make you question anything? You know where I'm going.
Well, what it was kind of, the script was being rewritten almost every day, because it was a challenging shoot. The producer writer was there, a Canadian guy, Paul Lalonde, and he was trying to get the story, because he had to update the book series and make it relate to the world that we're in today.
Right.
But he did a fantastic job doing that. And we're in a scene, like we're in a church, and the church scene has been destroyed. Vandals had come in, had been closed down as the pandemic, and people had vandalized the church, and they destroyed the church. And the pastor was, he had given up his faith, and he's just sitting there in this destroyed church, and the art department made it look, it was amazing. And then you realize that this guy eventually comes back to his faith, and comes back to a purpose, and comes back to a mission to change people's lives. And you realize, at least I know, Kevin's up there and preaching, and we're just going, wow, this felt so real that we were in this movie, but at the same time, what was going on in the world echoed it so much. And that what we needed was that message of hope, that message of love, that message to inspire people, no matter how you want to tell that message, in what form. The world needs that. I mean, it needs people like your show. It needs people who are, share, because in the middle of hard times, that's when people want to give up, and people gave up during the pandemic. But a lot of us didn't give up. We went out harder. We went out more. We weren't afraid. We weren't scared of that. We were like, we have to be out there and live courageously. We have to be the ones that are not going to retreat and back into fear. Just won't do it. Just won't do it.
Oh, so the cast, all the people, and when I say cast, I mean not just the actors, but all of the people. It takes a lot of people to do this and pull it off. I did my first movie last year, right? Did my first movie, yeah. So I learned a lot.
Well, it's not going to be your last. You're going to keep this up, man.
I know. I got 2 more this year.
All right.
I know.
Right
I'm
on.
really excited. I'm really excited. But I learned a lot about not just the process. I have a newfound respect for the work now. It's a lot different when you see all that it takes, all those angles and, setting the clocks and making sure the light is on the wall the same way it was yesterday and all kind of stuff that we take for granted. But did you hear conversations? Did people talk about, I mean, come on, even you were in this was January, it came out, and since January, we've had all these mass shootings, almost more mass shootings in this country than days in the year. That is a movement, if you will. And so having come off a project like Left Behind, and you said it was revamped to speak to today's current situation, did conversations come up about what's really going on in the real world, or did you guys kind of keep it to the show? If that makes
sense. Of course, there was conversations, and we had great, and a lot of times they were at lunch or they were in the evening, because we became family and we hung out after making the movie. And one of the good things was we had a great director who was, knew what he wanted. So we shot everything in the amount of time we needed. But yeah, we hung out, we talked about that stuff. But, just to give you an example, what you just raised, Lauren, just personally, after a couple other movies, I just came back to this year to an apartment where I live in. And there was an incident where a young man, a neighbor of mine, ended up taking some people hostage with a gun. And I was there in front of the building, and there was a SWAT thing with the police department, and the police fired on them. And so, this, I've seen it personally. That was very close to home. Did not expect it to be in my own apartment building. But I think what the reality of it was that I see that, one of the things that the pandemic and the shutdown did is that I think it's increased mental illness all over the place. So mental illness was already a problem, has now become magnified and become even more. And people who became less connected and more isolated are now suffering from more mental illness than they did previously, because losing connection with people means you lose all the positive that you get from people. I love being around people. And during the pandemic, I stayed around people, even though others didn't, because that charges my battery. And I'm not going to give up the charge, because that's what inspires me is people. I love people. But I think we need more connection now, not less. And we need more recognition that people are going through hard times mentally, and they need people to be able to be there for them and do stuff to inspire them out of that place, that the darkness that they're going into. But yeah, we talked a lot about it. And that was the short answer. But yes, we did.
Well, no, that's what I wanted to hear. Let me ask you, what do you consider yourself, John? More religious, spiritual, combination of both, or you don't put a label on it? I've been asking this question to people a lot lately.
I mean, I try not to put labels in general, because I think we're all bigger and more than any label can capture. And especially, us that live large in the world. I've been through many phases in my life, where I've gone, there's labels that fit. I went from being a Catholic to being a communist, to being an atheist, to coming back to being a Christian again. I've gone from left to right. I've done all those things. But, labels don't allow you to understand the common humanity that we have. Labels doesn't allow us to have that respect and communication with each other, even if we don't have the same politics, the same religion, the same belief systems. We still are humans going through this journey, and you being able to respect each other, for starters, communicate with each other, and find a way to say, well, we got this in unity, and yeah, we can disagree on this, and that's okay. That's cool. No big deal. Let's disagree, but let's start with respect and go from there. So I try not to put those labels, but I'm sure, you know, people will put them on me. That's okay. I don't care. But I know who I am, and I know, you know, the bigger picture is, you know, I'll have those labels, but then on top of that, my label is I'm an individual, and I want to make a difference in the world and inspire others to be the best they can be. So that's kind of the big picture label.
Awesome. Let's talk about that. So when you're behind the camera, because that's how you refer to it, what role is that? I mean,
mine is I play two roles, different movies, different roles, sometimes two roles at the same time, and that's a producer and a line producer. So, you know, the line producer is the hands-on producer. So I create a schedule for the movie. I create a budget for the movie. I oversee and manage the hiring of the crew for the movie. I oversee the pre-production, the production, and the wrap of the movie. My goal is make sure that the movie comes in on time and on budget, and at the same time be the solution person, because what I do really well is when there's a challenge or there's a problem, I find the solutions, and I don't have them all the time. It's not like I know the answers to everything. I've done over 45 feature films, but what I know is that there's a team there, and I know how to go to the team and find the answers together with the team so we can solve any problem. So there's always a solution. I know that, and that mindset is, I think, what kind of makes it easy for me. People say my job is the hardest job. I say, well, I've worked in factories. I worked in the post office. Not really. You know, I'm blessed doing this kind of stuff. So all I got to do is keep solving problems. I'm down with that. That's easy.
Amen. Amen. Have you ever had any conflict, any internal conflict about whether you should work or not work on a certain project because of the moral of the story, or the moral of the story that was being pushed out of the project didn't align with your whatever, what didn't set right with your spirit? Have you ever had that kind of a choice to make in your work?
Yeah. Like I said, when I first started out in the industry, I was just trying to get up. I was in survival mode. I needed to survive. I needed money. I had no money. So I was struggling. And so I took what I needed to get through to get to the next level. So I learned a lot of lessons. But, you know, I remember a few years back, you know, I was given a feature film project, and I was going to do it. I met with the people at the American film market, and they told me who the lead of the movie was. And I looked at them and said, okay, I'll pass. And they looked at me like, well, you just agreed to do it. I said, well, yeah, but I didn't know who was doing it. And they said, well, why would that change? Because I said, well, because I don't want to deal with that. I know how I can deal with anybody. I know I have the ability to do it, but I don't want to have a nightmare when I know it's going to be a nightmare. I can choose to walk away from a nightmare. And that particular actor was a nightmare on all kinds of levels. And I won't mention names, but I was just like, no, you know, not doing it. And I needed the money at the time, Lauren. I really did. But I was like, it's just not worth it. I'm not going to do it. So I've had a couple of times like that where I walked away from projects, and it's usually been who the person was and what they were identified with, or how they were identified, and what that would then identify me with. And I went, nah, I'm not going to do it. So, you know, I think being willing to say no, especially when it's hard to say no, especially when you don't have money and you're like, yeah, I need the money, but your character is more important than money, and what you're about is always going to be more important than money. So, you know, just sometimes you got to make those tough decisions. And then it's kind of funny. Then new things open up and you find better things come at you because you made the right decision.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. Oh boy, I have so many examples of that. And I came close. I mean, I came that close to, I can't pass. I just can't. I'll lose my this. And yes, absolutely right. Listen, when we come back from this brief break, and I do mean brief, we're going to come back and look inside of the Living Courageously with John Duffy podcast, and then find out about, I want to know about this movie. that he wants to write the screenplay about the ex-girlfriend and all that. And why you feel that hasn't faded into the sunset. It's still alive as a passion. And speaking of passion, we're going to find out what John's is and a lot more when we come back. Listen, don't go away. Now's a great time to bless someone. Share out the broadcast. I'll see you in 1 minute.
On July 4th, 1962, I found myself in the lost and found of mankind. Just because something finds its way to the lost and found doesn't mean that it wants to be there. Just because something finds its way to the lost and found doesn't mean that the person who lost it doesn't care for that lost item.
You are writing moments that people will learn from, grow from, and heal through for thousands of years. Together, we are co-authoring a unique moment in time. That DNA, those fingerprints, they're going to be gone. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. But it is your story that they will tell for thousands of years, but only if you leave it. Things that do not serve you must go. The longer you wait, the more time you give them to trick you into serving them. 22 homes in foster care, everything I wore as a scar, as a shame, things that started like Velcro on my spirit. After just a few months, then years, then decades, I had believed myself into believing that they were indelible tattoos. Sometimes we have to be broken down to appreciate the view once we start getting up. I want you to leave this place and know that you have been changed. Why? How do I know it's true? Because each of you has just changed.
Speed commercial in 3, 2, 1. 60 calories, 100% vegetable juice from concentrate, 2.5 servings of vegetables in every can. Head down the juice aisle at your local grocer. Tell them I sent you. They'll look at you like you're crazy, but who cares? Get some. Hi, John. Okay. Oh, V8. And there I had to drink it and swallow it. That's a part of it. So we're back. I'm so glad you're here. You know what I dropped in right before we left? Passion. Let's talk about your passion. And all those different things. You know how you get to that place in your life and people go, are you ever going to settle down and do one thing? Because I was that guy too, because I was finding my way. You know, let's talk about what do you attribute how you landed where you are, all those GPS coordinates, that those things that had to happen in order for you to be the man we're looking at today, doing what you do today. Your passion. Talk about what that is and how important it is to you today in your life.
Well, you know, I dropped out of school when I was 15, and I started a learning journey. And you know, I started to read. I've read probably thousands of books. I love learning. So when I dropped out of high school was when I started the passion for learning. And I went on kind of a journey of growth that has never stopped. And personal growth and learning and just wanting to always be more, accomplish more, do more, help more, just all those different pieces. And then, you know, I ran into the right people that took me on a path. I ran into Tony Robbins. I did a firewalk. That changed my life. He became a mentor to me. And I just kept stepping my game up and just learning from great people like this, Jason Cisneros, who's a dear brother who I love. You know, all these people touch my life, and I keep learning from people and keep doing. So my passion is learning. My passion is growing. And like you said earlier, you know, with the thing about every day is a great day above ground, my retirement, I always goof around. I say, I'm going to retire when I wake up and there's 6 feet of dirt above me. I guess then I'll be at least retired on this plane. You know what I mean? But up until that point, I got so much to do. I ain't going to get it done in one life, but I'm going to try. You know, I'm going to keep trying to do so. So keep learning, keep growing is kind of my passion. And that's what's taken me, and that's what took me to do Live Courageously, the podcast show, because I've been blessed with all these amazing human beings. Jason Cisneros was on my show, just tons of people, so far 28 people since I came up with it was on my heart to do it when I was up in Canada doing Left Behind. I just woke up one morning, 2:00 in the morning, and said, I need to do something bigger, something even more, reach out and bring people that I know and share them with the world. So that's kind of why I'm doing that one. And that's what got me to do it. And then you did mention about the screenplay, and I'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay. I'm sitting here thinking, I'm gonna just tell you how it came in. When you said, yeah, I woke up and I told myself, or somehow you said I'm gonna do it, and I was like, I heard, we woke him up. Told him to, and I was like, I know, but I'm not gonna go back. And they said, oh yes, you are. So there it is. Yes. Well, because we can be chosen for divine moments. We are chosen for divine moments, but it does not happen until we choose in return. And sometimes we have to choose without even knowing what we're really choosing. If you know what I mean, right?
Yeah. Right. Well, like you asked me earlier, what do I believe? What's my, what labels or whatever. But, I always say when I speak too, that clearly God had a bigger plan for my life. Because at the end of the day, I was a kid from the South Bronx, a high school dropout. I was somebody who shouldn't have went on this journey. I didn't have this plan. I didn't have this vision when I was 15 years old, but I went on a journey. So God had a bigger plan. And like you said, but I had to choose. When those things were put in front of me, I had to choose to take them. I had to choose to go in that direction and grow and become that person. And I did. But I was blessed to have those things constantly being put in front of me. Like, well, what else do I want to do? What else can I do? Okay, I'll step into that one. I'll step into that one. So it's it definitely had a bigger plan for my life than I had myself. And I'm grateful for that.
Well, one of the key things right there is you said it kept being put in front of me, kept being put in front of me. Why? Because you were fulfilling the promise, the two-way feed that guarantees that when we seek, we will find.
Right.
But it's not, life is now, I tell my nieces and nephews this all the time. Why don't you really go get up off your butt? Life is not going to come and ring the doorbell and stick his head in. Hey, I'm life. I was just passing down the street by chance looking for life. I just thought I'd knock and ask. It's not going to happen. You got to get out and look for it. Even if you don't know what you're looking for, follow Helen Keller's lead. Feel your way. Feel your way. Trust your way. So I was passionate there. So I guess somebody needed that.
Yes.
Bucket list.
I did indeed.
Bucket list.
100%.
Do you have a bucket list?
Oh my, are you kidding me? Lauren, I have a bucket list that's large enough for 3 of me. So I'm like, it's just, and it keeps growing. That's the damn problem. I got 1,000 books I want to read. I got places I got to visit. I got 3 books I want to write and movies I want to make. It just doesn't stop, just to pivot back to what you said earlier before we left. So the screen, that screenplay, Goodbye, My Friend, I wrote that. And I wrote 2 drafts. I'm working on another one. But, you said, why is that still with me? And I'm glad you brought this particular topic up because it changed my life. This young woman who, was my girlfriend and then became my friend. And I was with her when she was passing away from AIDS. And I was with her at her last moment. She gave me a message that inspired me. And then once again, and I'll share this because it's such a powerful story. But, she told me one time, when I called her to come and visit her, she said, I don't want you to come over because I'm feeling real bad. I don't want to depress you. And I just said, excuse me, you're dying and you're worried about depressing me? I mean, it just blew my mind that she was concerned about me and not herself. And it said to me, whatever problems I got, I'm going to forget about them and focus on what I can accomplish. So she opened that door for me. And when I got to California, Lauren, I was acting at the time and I just moved out there and I had no money. And I'm walking down the street and I see this sign saying, we're looking for actors with real life stories to perform in a one-man play. And I didn't have that story, but I had the reality of her. And I went home that night and I wrote Goodbye, My Friend as a stage piece. Never done it before. Didn't know what the hell I was doing. And then I went in and auditioned and I didn't have it finished. And they said, if you haven't finished it, don't come in. But I did anyway. And I performed the piece for the director and the producer, and I look at them and they're crying like babies, and I'm crying, and they're like, "You're going to finish this piece and you're going to be in the play." So I performed Goodbye, My Friend at in Santa Monica Boulevard for like 3 months as part of this performance thing. But I was working at Covenant House as a counselor. They heard about it. They asked me to perform it for runaway kids. So I performed Goodbye, My Friend for these runaway kids in Hollywood that I was working with. And at the end of it, there was like 25 of them in the room, and they're crying. All these tough kids living out in the street, they're crying, I'm crying. And they're coming up to me going, you know, I want to call my parents. I want to go back home. I want to go to school. And I realized that God touched me through her to perform that piece. So that's why it's still with me to this day, because it's like I was given this story. I was given this experience, not to keep it to myself, not just for me, but for others. And that's kind of why I want to take it a little further. And, you know, I finally got to the point where I was able to do it. You know, it took a while to get there, you know, but I'm there. And now I want to take it to the next level, because it was just so powerful. I mean, you know, and
Still
we're giving it. It's a gift.
I'm going to tell you, absolutely a gift. Absolutely a gift. I'm going to tell you why I was beckoned back to that piece and to that particular framing of the question, because here is a great example, you guys, of what you hear me talk about with the difference in how important it is that we recognize the difference between fond memories and divine memories. That is why it hasn't fizzled out. It has not tapered. There's no dimmer switch on divine memories. And, you know, when we're gone, like your friend, ashes, dust to dust, her fingerprints don't matter now. Her DNA doesn't matter now. But what still matters? John just said it. Her story. And it's because she left it. She shared it. And it came through what people would say would be her hardest, darkest, loneliest time. But I would rather preserve my story and proof that I did something that mattered while I was here than leave this world, this journey, with no essence of my presence left behind. I mean, for all the money in the world, I think that would be the biggest regret, when you look to the left and you see nothing divinely looking back at you. So what do you think, John, with your friend? Because I know she must pass through your neighborhoods in your mind and in your heart and in your spirit more times than we would ever imagine. And do you believe, can you ever feel her presence and the encouragement to keep going? And even not just the things that pertain to her in the story, but in times when you were at your lowest, just in a different room, like you were in a certain room with her. You know, we imagine the hospital bed and all the stuff, but I believe what I believe. But what about you? Have you ever felt that it came full circle?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, there's times when, you know, a song comes on. It was a song that, you know, we experienced together. You know, one song that always does it for me is Purple Rain by Prince. And
I had my Prince hat on yesterday.
yeah, and you know, there was a moment when we shared together when she was near the end, and she had I visited her at her apartment, and she had an IV bottle and everything, and she wanted to do something special for me, and her mother made me dinner and everything. And we got up, and she asked to dance with me, with her with the IV bottle, and we danced around her apartment to the song Purple Rain. And every time I hear that song, my heart breaks, but it breaks in a good way, and it breaks in a way that just retouches my heart about that, the love that we have, the connection we have with special people, and to share that, you know, to share that with the world, and to, you know, that even in the middle of that darkness, that was a moment of light. That was a moment of love. That was a moment of everything, you know, connection. And so that's why I can never, that'll always revisit me and reconnect with me, because it was powerful. It was life-changing. It was life-changing.
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of us, I include myself, people say two things you don't ever talk about at the table or whatever is politics and religion. But there's also death. A lot of people won't talk about it. It's just they just don't talk about it. But I want to ask you, we have just about a minute and a half left, and I wanted you to close with this.
Okay.
If it were possible for you to put your ear to the wall between the world we'll go to when we transcend, when we cross over, whatever you want to call it, if you could put your ear to that wall and hear into this world and hear what people were saying about John Duffy, who just left, what would it be that you'd hope to hear through that wall?
Oh, you asked some deep questions, my brother. I think it's why I started my show. It's why Live Courageously. It's why, and even before that, I started doing, a Facebook Live. This woman reached out to me who I never met personally, from the South Bronx. And she said, you need to share who you are. You need to share your message with people bigger. And so I started because she asked me to. And, I realized that I had no giant dreams with all of it. It was if I could touch one person and make their life better, or make their day better, or make something better for them, then I'm 100% success. And it doesn't have to be gigantic. And so if any of those, if I could hear through that wall, like you suggest, to know that there's people that I've touched, that I've created that ripple effect, that I threw the pebble in the water and that pebble grew, and then they threw the pebble in the water and they touched some other person, and then that person threw the pebble in the water, and that somehow we just kept spreading that message by creating that pebble. If I did that, then boy, I'm going to be smiling big time, that people are saying that I did that in their life and I touched them that way. I'm 100% success. Everything else is kind of secondary to it.
Absolutely
all
right.
The world successes, whatever. That's not as important as doing that, I think.
Well, if I were one of the voices you could hear through that wall, I know what I'd be saying. I'd be saying, John Duffy, and I learned this just today when I was looking at all of the things you've done. I said, look how courageous that bio on Speaker Hub, where I found it, all of those different things. And what it taught me in just a blink of an eye was that it's important to celebrate everything we've lived, to know that nothing was by mistake. It was all on purpose, with purpose, to get us exactly to that person that our soul came to this world to become. And so I'm just so grateful for that example. You keep it real, you keep it out front, and most importantly, you keep changing it up. And I love that about you. So thank you so very much. And please come back and share whatever that next bucket list check mark is with us, so that we can stay encouraged through you.
And you come on my show and share your journey that you're about to go on, and the people's lives that you're touching in Romania, and these young children who need that hope and they need that help. Yeah, please come on my show and share that message, because you're making a big difference in the world, and I'm honored and blessed to know you.
Oh, thank you, John. I feel the same, and I received that. Listen, I'm going to drop John's connectors inside of your comment section at the immediate conclusion of today's broadcast. I encourage you to get over, take a look at his work, take a look at who he is. Don't watch his mouth, watch his feet, because that'll tell you everything you need to know. And in conclusion, last thing I want to say to you today is this. Remember, whatever you do today, mean it, so that it has every chance in the universe of becoming meaningful to someone else. I'm Lorne Michaels Harris. I'll see you all tomorrow morning, God willing, right out front on the front porch where together we have another illuminated conversation. Thank you so much. What an honor, John. Stick backstage for 1 minute. I just want to get some info from you.
100%.
Okay. And
thank you,
guys. We'll see you tomorrow, God willing. Have a great day. Be the blessing you want to receive. Thanks, John. Great job. Bye, everybody.
Baby, I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Honey, it's way past time. How expensive do I have to be? Need I spell it out before you to get it.